And this is part 2 of Sokyl, Lonewolfdrifter and Dragontear 86 versus Whoiscake, Dead Zone, and BpoaTactical.
All units.
Yes.
If you're following since the first part, you'll know I was building hunters to counter possible tanks from yellow. Just have those massed in front of my base just in case he does decide to come down this way, as I don't have shields on my base, and pretty much all I'll have defending that base is a Cobra down there pretty quick from Dragontear, our green player.
Attacking.
So right now we have the Red Arbiter chasing us back into the base, and he's built a turret in the back of his base right away. I have the purple brute coming in to help me, Lone Wolves. At the moment he's also clearing a base down the bottom, which he's going to use to pump Banshees, which you'll see a little bit later in the film. Get some good backup here from Flamers from Dragontear. This Arbiter has to kind of back off.
Point me at him. About time.
And I move my brute down to the front just to check the tower that he's building, and boom goes the dynamite. Yellow's brought his first tank in. I don't know how I survived that. You can see my health right now, it's pretty much at 0. About to take a little bit more punishment, but I'm going to try and get some hunters in there before I die. So it's kind of kite around, trying to avoid the Arbiter a little bit, and just get in a position to get some hunters out onto the field here. So right now we're just trying to keep the tanks at bay while we focus down the base. Maybe get an Arbiter kill in here, but for the moment we're just trying to avoid them as we do base damage. As you can see, purple's starting to get Banshees in finally, which are also going to be a very great counter to the tanks, and possibly anything the Arbiters can build at this point.
Point me at him. I got this.
Local unit.
And right now, Superhuman Brute is just trying to live with no health, and I'm pushing the tanks back down the bottom with hunters. He's finally kind of standing his ground, getting his canisters off when he can. And you see that the Arbiter was trying to rage the Banshees there, which he's just going to fly them over the mountain, kind of negating most of the damage there. And then we have our Forged Dragontear. He's just pushing back the Arbiters with Flamers, forcing them to move around. And my hunters are getting shredded by the tanks, but I'm doing a little bit of good damage here, just keeping them away from the base long enough to knock it down.
I'm ready.
And you'll see a little ping on the top there. That's just me asking Lone if you can send maybe a unit or two over there just to help me scout it. Maybe destroy a base that they're trying to rebuild in that corner, get a shield up on. Basically slow us down a little bit more from getting down to the Forge, our last real threat in this match here. And I get one in, but I die at the same time. He's continuing to do the same thing we were doing before. Just trying to keep the Arbiters back, destroy the base, keep the tanks back at the same time, and looks like that's going down right now. When this base goes down, me and Dragontear are going to focus on the Arbiter. Dragontear's going to do a really good job keeping the flame on him. He's going to jump back in a few times, which maybe leads to his death here. We're going to get a good kill on the Black Arbiter. And if you watch the map in the top left corner there for just a sec, you will see he does build a base very briefly, and the Banshees and the Brutes managed to take it down fairly quickly, solving one of our problems right there.
Now what? What? Tear them apart.
So right now I'm just rebuilding. Me and Dragontear both lost their forces up top, and now Lone's kind of taking over the game, flying his Banshees around, just kind of destroying the tanks, keeping them as low as possible, and re-healing a bit in the middle whenever he has to. As you can see, I have a Cobra right beside my base there, and if you noticed, I did actually buy the hammer upgrade first before I rebought my Brute. A bit of a mistake, but it Didn't really matter in this one, and it was always good to have the hammer upgrade for fighting the tanks. I'll send my Guardian Force from my base up here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to destroy a hall, just create a shield generator just as a little buffer for if they do attack my base. I'm just going to try and go and scout for extra bases right now. I know Cake here must have been feeding his buddies quite a lot of money just to have them keep getting bases up, keep them in the game for as long as he did. So right now I'm just going to go up here and try and kill any bases that I can before we move on to the forge base. So now I'm just going to move up here where I'm pinging, just check the base. They don't have it, it's still Rebel. So I'm going to move on to the one beside the reactor. And you'll see the pings on the map from my teammates and the large blobs moving around. It's going to be Lone with all his Banshees and Dragontear, who is now building tanks. They're just going to scout out the other bases again, make sure they're not expanding, and happen to find one here and get his temple right before it comes up. So I'm going to sit here and focus on this base, draw all the fire until they get in here and do all the damage for me.
Where to?
All units.
So we're nearing the end here, just focusing on this base a little more, bringing up hunters while I can, bringing up my brood who is finally rebuilt. I'm just going to try and get a stun off. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. The Banshees have arrived, and we'll proceed to chase Yellow back around to the middle, which isn't going to end good for him. As you'll see in a second here, Dragontear is also bringing his units around through the middle, and going to meet and smash up. So I've just decided to leave my units here to attack the base for the time being. Not going to be too much use, not going to be able to chase those tanks down, maybe get a reactor out of this. And as we focus over to the side, we see that the Banshees and Dragontear's tanks are making very quick work, and the first resign, second resign, followed by the third. So there we go. And just going to go through stats here a little bit. You can look and follow along the units built. We had played BpoaTactical and Dead Zone the other day and got royally kicked. So it was a good game to get a little bit of payback maybe. But they played very well, and it was a good game from both sides, I would think. Thanks for watching, guys, and maybe have a few games against some high-level players coming up here soon, hopefully.